Hey folks, KILT-MAN here, KILT-MAN at your service. Now, do forgive me if I look a little bit groggy. I feel a bit groggy. It's because I've been awoken early from hypersleep and I've realised I'm only halfway home. What's going on? Hang on a sec. So, folks, Alien 1979. I have been promising that I'm going to review this movie and the ensuing sequels as well in the franchise. And by God, we're going to do it. Now, you could be forgiven thinking, KILT-MAN, haven't you reviewed this movie already? Because you've just banged on about it for the last 5 or 6 videos. And it's true. So, this will not take the form of a traditional review. Because we all know the movie. I do not need to run through the synopsis. I do not need to introduce the characters. I do not need to talk about its critical reception. Because we know all that. And we're here because we love it. I'm sure we all know it very, very well. Inside out, you could say. A bit like the chest-burster nose Kane. Inside out. So this will be just like kind of a whimsical, nostalgic, meandering sort of love fest for all things xenomorphic. Right. Let's get the skeleton, the alien skeleton out the closet right away. Okay, 2 things. Planet of the Vampires. Mario Bava's glorious, psychedelic, surreal, interstellar horror story of a crew of humans who, with 2 women on board as well, who answer a distress call on a remote planetoid and discover an alien ship, a derelict, with a huge fossilized alien in it. And then encounter horrible infiltration by space vampires that parasitically take over their own crew. Sound familiar? In any way, shape or form? And of course, A.E. Van Vo. I don't know how you pronounce that. I used to, when I was a kid, call him Vogt. I presume it's Vo. I don't really know. Is it Vo? Let me know. And The Voyage of the Space Beagle. Now, this classic novel is actually several novellas formed together into one huge story about this intergalactic exploratory ship which encounters nothing but hostile aliens and entities, some of which are the size of galaxies, some of which creep aboard their ship when they land on a remote planetoid and then begin to pick off the crew one by one and then get jettisoned off in a life pod. And that was a story called The Black Destroyer from 1938 or 39. That's a long time ago. There's also a story in here as well where another alien which exists outside in the cosmos manages to infiltrate the Space Beagle, and it, again, like a parasite, it lays its sort of eggs, or it reproduces itself inside the stomachs of living crew members. Yeah, now, A.E. Van Vo took Ridley Scott and his production team to court when Alien came out, citing, "You've ripped me off, you've ripped my stories off." And tellingly, they did settle out of court for an undisclosed, but I presume large amount of money. Which does lead you to suppose that original screenwriter Dan O'Bannon, the great Dan O'Bannon, Pinback from Dark Star, the guy behind Return of the Living Dead. Come on now, awesome stuff. And because he was an eccentric and an absolute sci-fi geek, he will have read that book without a doubt. He will have seen Mario Bava's movie, no question about it. Ridley Scott wasn't a well-read sci-fi nerd, so I will not lay any blame really his doorstep, because he was a director, and it was only a sophomore directorial adventure. And my God, after The Duelists, what a complete swing shift. So yeah, those 2 elements are there. But can you name me a film really that has not got some sort of, it's been inspired by films before it, plots, characters, scenarios, ideas, visual subtexts, all this sort of thing bleeds into each successive movie across all the genres. So really, can we actually blame Alien? Alien takes all these ideas and completely throws them up on the screen with absolute visual, husky dog wandering past, absolute visual aplomb and directorial dexterity. It marked out a superior talent in filmmaking, without a doubt, in Ridley Scott. And it showed you what Van Vogt could only put into words. No one at the time, not even the master, cinematographer and director Mario Bava, could put on the screen convincingly. Whereas Ridley Scott took the whole scenario of space truckers in interstellar space, answering a distress call, but living in this really harsh, gloomy, dire, yet profoundly realistic environment of a cramped and isolated starship hauling a huge cathedral-like refinery through the deep, tracts of space on the way back to Earth. He made that realistic. You watch the film now, it still holds up. It still looks profoundly realistic. Those sets, which were based on B-52 bombers, the cockpit of the Nostromo and not to Joseph Conrad. And boy, did these guys end up in a heart of darkness. The whole labyrinthine corridors, air shafts, the landing areas where the landing struts are withdrawn into the craft, where Brett meets his demise. The sort of undercarriage where Ripley finds the cocoon Dallas and the just egg-sized version of Brett hanging up there, as grisly xenomorphic artwork. He makes that live and breathe. And the thing about science fiction at that time, or rather up until that time, it had glamorized space travel. It was gleaming, it was shiny, it was new, it was something that you wanted to do. It was a very, heroic, vainglorious endeavor. Alien completely submerges that in the mire of workaday, blue collar trudgery. We've got a haul through deep space. Oh, I'm an engineer. I've got to work with shite. My equipment's rubbish. This banged up ship never seems to work. They're all dressed down. They're sweaty. It's a realistic environment. And again, for a film of this ilk, where you're going to have people getting picked off one by one by an unseen creeping menace, they don't get on. You don't like any of these characters. I know we've grown to love them because of who and what they are in this franchise and in this genre, what they stand for. But you wouldn't want to ship out with any of these. They are prickly, brittle, irritable bastards. As you would be. You would be. You've been woken up groggy from months and months of hypersleep. You've still got a hell of a journey to go. And now you've got to go out of your way to do something which could be dangerous. Anything for an easy life. These aren't heroes. Parker, I don't need heroics out of you, says Dallas, Captain Dallas, a great Tom Skerritt, to Yaphet Kotto's borderline, heroic. He's got the bravado, he's got the spit and the venom. He's the one guy amongst all of them that, will go up against the alien and will actually, try to, smack it down. He'll fail, of course, because you're dealing with a perfect specimen. Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility. You've got no fucking chance against one of these things. Acid for blood, for God's sake. You don't dare kill it. But they are, a horrible bunch of people. And our hero, our final girl, an icon in the making, Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, Warrant Officer Ripley. She's not a likeable girl. She's not. She's a stickler for the rules. Yes, what is that conundrum? Kane has an alien organism attached to his face. No one on board the ship has seen what it is and can't really make judgments. Only Lambert and Dallas have seen what it is, and even they can't tell. It's just fused through his face plate on his helmet, and it's attached to his face. They don't know if he's alive or dead. They need to get him into the infirmary, quick style. But Ripley, sticking to the rules, says no quarantine. I can't let you in here. It could infect the whole ship. Totally, of course it could. She's doing the right thing. Look at us now in lockdown. You go outside, face masks, self-isolation, social distancing, all this kind of crap. You think you've got it bad? Imagine being cooped up on a fucking ship with an alien menace, which does not know the rules of social distancing, and doesn't mind infecting you. In fact, that's its prime directive. Special Order 937 or whatever it is. And so you've got this bitter feud. In the extended version, of course, you'll see just how much Lambert, the only other female on the ship, she get rage with Ripley for possibly leaving someone out there to die, and then she slugs her one when they're all looking through the window of the infirmary to see what's it got around his neck, why did you guys just freeze him, during that moment. And the extended cut that Ridley Scott, the perennial tinkerer Ridley Scott, cannot stop messing with his movies. A bit like the touch of the George Lucas is there. He cannot stop. The original film, the theatrical cut, is fantastic. I did touch upon the moment where Brett's demise, but you should have the scene, in the extended cut you've got it, the scene of Ripley and Parker arriving just as Brett's being dragged up into the air shaft. Because then that makes Parker's later line, or next line, motherfucker's huge, it's big, it's like a man, it's huge, relevance, because without that, how would they have known how big the alien was? Up until that point, you did not know what they were dealing with. They thought it was a little cute chest burster with bits of, Kane's giblets in its teeth. Yes. So the crew are sparky, irritable, irritating. The calmest among them, no surprise, happens to be the villain, the snake in the grass. Ian Holm, he's the character as Ash, Science Officer Ash. He is the one that really is the glue that holds this thing together. Not Ripley. Ripley's all over the show at first, trying to exert authority, losing out. What can I do? We'll take our chances. Lambert, the life pod will only hold 1 hold 4, and all this kind of stuff. It's brilliantly done. But the one character who has the calmness, severe calmness, a very worrying calmness if you actually picked up on all the hints and clues, which Ridley Scott does masterfully inject into it, and Ian Holm brings out with such wonderful subtlety, but they are there. His calm demeanour, when Parker and Brett have this thing about, this share. That's a bit of you'd have addressed that before you even got into the old freezerinos. You would have, before you undertook any kind of mission, But anyway, it gives us a segue into their characters, that they're bitchy, that they want a full share, that we've got a class system, a class structure to the staffing of the Nostromo and the people who work for, Weyland-Yutani. So when he's arguing about I want a greater share, and Ash is delivering what the rule book says, Parker, we just listen to the man, Dallas says, because Parker's interrupting. Ash hasn't stopped. He stops, but he resumes the very next syllable. No money. That calmness, and the little moments where it's cold when they land on the planetoid. Acheron, as it's originally known, LV-426, as we grew to love it after terraforming, and when they land there, and the exploratory crew, the trio, go out there, and you've got Ash in his observation pod, and he's waving like that. It's obviously cold there. He's put like a thermal suit on, and he does a little jog. But it's such an inhuman moment. It's when you watch it back now, it's like, right, it's colder. I've got to fire up my circuits here to defend myself against these lesser temperatures. Nobody runs like that, and it is an odd moment. Of course, when Kane begins to what's the matter, baby? This shit ain't that bad, His big, massive moments of huge indigestion at the dinner table. Watch Ash's face. He's making small talk there, but he keeps looking over. Obviously he would do. He's the science officer. He's the doctor as well. And Kane was his patient, and he's gone through something that no one has ever undergone before. So he's obviously going to watch him with a clinical eye. But the way he looks over, he knows what's going to happen. And then when Kane begins to convulse properly, he's like, "This is serious, don't touch it, and all this kind of stuff." And he's holding people back because, of course, he wants the chest burster to get out, to survive, to live. He wants to see what's going to become next. Crew expendable, all other priorities rescinded, and all this kind of stuff. Let's go on that chest burster sequence. The myth behind all this is that they didn't know what was going to happen. Everyone always cites this. They did not know. Of course they fucking knew. It's in the script, for God's sake. It's in the script. Now, they may have been cleared off the set. Well, John Hurt is put into the table, and he's the chest bursting bit, the appliance is all applied, and he's there. Right, come on in, and they've got the crew all there. They don't know just how gory it's going to be. That is almost, for definite. And the first take, of course, too much gore erupted. They pumped far too much. And by all accounts, Veronica Cartwright as Lambert did a backflip, covered in this grue, backflip, and was thrown up everywhere. And it was just too shocking. Gotta get rid of that. So they toned it down, reined it all back in. For its time, it was still outrageously gory and violent. For its time. Now it does seem, quite tame. It's not a shocking sequence, of course. But everyone was, they didn't know what was going to happen. They knew exactly what was going to happen. Not the amount that was going to come out. That's all they didn't know. But it's still a great groundbreaking sequence. And groundbreaking, chest-bursting sequence. And sphincter tingling. So, great effects. The Xenomorph. Swiss artist, surrealist H.R. Geiger. They'd seen his works of monsters. This is a guy that in his artist studio plays around with bones and dead things, His studio is like the farmhouse in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But he plays with relics and fossils, and he fashions them into the most bizarre of shapes and constructions. So Ridley Scott and the production crew get this guy on board. Let's create a monster like no one's seen before. Now, okay, it is a guy in a suit, 7 foot tall. What's his name? Badajo. He was a student in London at the time, and he got the gig because he was fucking tall and skinny, and he could fit into this suit, and he could also move with a sort of, balletic poise, delicacy, and yet be quick and ferocious as well. Because the alien, as big as it gets to be, can tuck itself away, can sort of, bring itself down into a ball, which will just blend into the shadows. And it's a work of genius. Yes, it's a man in a suit. Nowadays, you look back on that. Some people look back on that and go like, look, it doesn't even look that good, because you can tell it's a man in a suit. And yet, that's why they remove certain shots when he stands up behind Lambert, when Parker and Lambert meet their demise. And I love that scene, that deleted scene. I love that. I think he looks amazing. And it's a really creepy moment. But yeah, I can see the point that you do see him for too long, until the finale where he goes up against Ripley in the life pod Narcissus. You are my lucky star. Lucky. Whoosh! It's about to fucking smash you a space helmet. Airlock, out you go. And even then he's got other ideas and he's going to crawl back. But you can see it's a man in a suit, so it's better to keep it in the shadows with those strange insectoid sort of movements when it turns, and it seems to move almost robotically and then pounce. It's clever stuff, the way its fingers are webbed to its, and the fingers are about 10 foot long as well, like its big banana shaped head, the mouth within a mouth. It's fabulous creation. Its exoskeleton, it's the spines on its back, the tail, incredible stuff. But Geiger also came up with designs for, the eggs, the derelict ship, how all this, the structure would, the derelict that you find on the planetoid. And by the way, that's one of the most realistic of alien planets. Star Trek would beam down, and it's always, Vasquez Rocks in California, now called Kirk's Rocks, because they would always beam down. There was always been a lovely sunny, desert with a few bits of tumbleweed, a yucca plant over there or whatever, but you could breathe. This is dark, dank, cold. It's completely inhospitable. You don't want to be there. As Parker says, I want to get off this place. This place gives me the creeps. Of course you do. It's absolutely horrible. And then when you see the derelict ship, its weird curved shape, its huge vaginal openings, its long sort of internal passageways, which are like sort of ribbed with all this almost organic, glistening, well, you don't know what it is. It's just Geiger's imagination run wild. The space jockey, which they screwed up with it in Prometheus and Covenant, and they shrunk him down as well, sitting there in his chair with his telescope, or is it a cannon? At that time, you do not know. And his chest is caved out. He's been there for eons, And you just know this. Don't go down that little hatchway there. Oh, it's like the goddamn tropics down here. There's a layer of mist which reacts when broken, and then, don't look in there. It's funny how we always skit in Prometheus where, the alien biologist, he says, don't go near anything, like, don't touch anything, and the imminent or the guy gets stuck in whatever that fucking ship, that pyramid, and an alien comes and he's like, oh, hello. Fuck. And then, of course, he gets chomped, fucking idiot, So, but John Hurt as Kane, the executive officer, Kane, the guy that initially you think might be the hero. There are no heroes in this. The clever thing is that everyone plays a part. None of them get on with each other. They bicker, they banter, but they're all working as a clumsy unit together. No one stands out. Tom Skerritt, as Dallas, gives the orders, but once he's gone, that's it. And it would have been John Hurt's Kane, who's the executive officer. He would have been the second in command, but he's the first to go. But, no one's, don't play any heroics. That line comes in again because we can't deal with this. This creature is beyond anything we can deal with. It can adapt to our environment far better than we can. Although I would like to know, after the chest burster makes its getaway, and they've got the little tracker units and the cattle prods, and they think it's in the closet, and of course it's Jonesy the cat. How the fuck did Jonesy the cat get into the closet and then shut the door behind it? And if it was the chest burster, how did it do it? They think it's in. I know, obviously something's in there, but how would it have done it? I don't know. I know, because it's weird. It's alien. It's from outer space. Different film, I know. But Alien remains a milestone in genre history. It's an A-list movie with absolute A-list production values. The set design, the special effects are extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. But it's a B movie creature feature at its heart, and Ridley Scott knows that. And although he's not a horror director, he's not. Pretty much, all the critics thought he would not stay with sci-fi even after this. Of course, what would he do? He would then go into complete hard sci-fi with Blade Runner. Yes, of course. But he's mastered all genres, really. But only in his second movie, Alien, he creates such suspense, such tension, such paranoia. And it's not even, most of the kills you don't really see. This whole thing that Geiger creates, and this whole sort of life cycle of the alien, the way it reproduces itself, it's because you witness male rape, basically. So the film does cover some very taboo subjects, albeit allegoric, in subtext and metaphor, subconsciously. A man is impregnated, he will give birth. I know the alien doesn't really care, it's just going to have a living host, so it needs. But the theme of a man going through that is deeply disturbing. Even to this day, we've seen numerous people become, impregnated by xenomorphs in these movies, but it's still an absolute shocker and makes it, that's not good. It makes you uncomfortable. What does it do to Lambert? During that sequence where Parker and Lambert, square off against it, and it's going for Lambert, and get out of the way, Lambert, get out of the way, and then Parker runs for it, its tail whips him out, and it grabs him. That's also, even though it's the head, that is castration. In metaphorical terms, he's been cut off in his prime. By taking the head, you are castrating the man. It's very thematic. He's gone. And it turns towards Lambert, and its tail goes between her legs and then rises up. Very phallic indeed. Now in the film, it appears to push her the tail pushes her towards itself. Many people have spoken about that. When you see the remains of their bodies afterwards, Parker's head smashed up and his blood dripping everywhere, but Lambert's naked foot is swinging. She's been hung up and her foot's naked. What has happened there? The alien is a very sexual beast. The whole film is all about twisted sexuality. The alien ship, the vaginal orifices that they have to enter through, the impregnation, the gestation, the controlling computer on the Nostromo is called Mother, and it's in a womb-like room, and it's almost chastised. It looks after its children, the crew, and it chastises them too, and punishes them. It looks after Ash, but then Dallas, what are my chances, does not compute. In the best scene, one of my favourite scenes, which is not in the extended cut, where he's going to go into the air shafts to hunt it down. One of my chances does not compute. And it's like, oh shit, And then it teases Ripley. It tells her about the secret order, and then she finds out, but it doesn't care about them. It's got a job to do. Mother has a job to do, and these kids have now become too unruly, and they're going to be punished. That's the way Mother sees it. So everything is about femininity. The alien itself impregnates other people. So male or female, it doesn't really matter. It is a feminine aggressor. And the whole soft, organic approach, slime everywhere. No offense to the ladies, but this is all a feminine sort of feel that's going on. So I also like that Parker. I keep coming back to Parker. He's one of my favourite characters in it. Parker, he must be descended from B.A. Baracus from the A-Team, because Dallas says to him, like, Parker, can you rig up 3 incinerator units? And he says, yeah, just give me 20 minutes. 20 minutes to rig up 3 flamethrowers with a power source and fuel. 20 minutes. That's genius, that is. My God. The sequence of Dallas in the air shafts. In the film, it has the original score from Jerry Goldsmith, which was from his score for the film Freud. Jerry Goldsmith, a maestro, had a wretched time with Alien. Ridley Scott did not know how to deal with composers and ignored him, basically. And they used temp tracks, luckily from Goldsmith's other movie, Freud. So at least there was a thematic sort of flow there, a consistency in voice, musical voice. But when Jerry Goldsmith saw it back, he said, like, no, those pieces aren't meant to be in there. He had composed an entire score for the film. Ridley Scott then chopped and changed certain scenes, so some of his cues did not fit certain scenes, and so they had to be either shortened and rescored, or they just threw them out and left in the temporary tracks they'd already put in from Freud. Now, I know the scores inside out. I know the film inside out, and I've got to be honest, I do prefer the Freud elements. I'm going to play one for you now. Let's just see if we can find it. Alien. Not the one. I have lots of Alien scores. There you go. Let's move on a bit. This is Dallas in the air shafts. And like, blip, blip. Dallas, it's got. You sure it's not there? It's got to be around you somewhere. And he's like, close all the hatches behind me. He's firing a flamethrower down the steps to clear the way. He's trying to find this thing, but he is, of course, realizing that, shit, I'm stuck in here. What the hell am I going to do? I'm not going to be able to fucking beat this. Let's just move this on a bit. I'm trying to play the music here, and it's just not doing it. There you go. Sorry about this, folks. By the way, if you're wondering why this is a bit of a rushed and sort of messy sort of review, many of you know that because we're in lockdown at the moment, my work's laptop computer finally did turn up, and after this, I've got to start working today. And my workstation is right there. I'll be just shuffling around. The laptop is there. So I'm a bit like, oh no. I wanted to try and do all my Alien movies like this week, get it wrapped up. I spent all day yesterday trying to get that laptop with all the stuff I need, and failed. It wouldn't do it. So I've got to go through all that shit again. Like the Nostromo, just spit on it for 2 minutes, will you, for Christ's sake? Folks, that's when they realise, oh, Dallas, move. Dallas, it's coming out for you. Dallas, get out of there. And he's like, and the camera prowls towards him from 2 different directions. It cuts one way and cuts the other. Very clever. You know, Ridley Scott's directorial stamp is all over this. His visual flourish. Move, Dallas, move, get out of there. And it goes for him like that. Folks, this was just a fun, nostalgic trip through Alien. You all know the film, you all love it, so go back and watch it again. I gave you a few little pointers there, things to look out for maybe. Sorrowfully, what was a bit of a ramshackle review. Crushed because of lack of sleep and because of an impending day of absolute hardship and pain in the arseness. But us blue collar, you know, we're making a proper share. Guys, in the meantime, in between time, keep it safe, keep it real, keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, be happy, be healthy, and I'm going to see you all later. Mother, put the optics of the whiskey back on, will you, Mother?